What's up, Meta Nerds? This video is all about the Delta-7 Aethersprite class Light Interceptor, also known as the Jedi Starfighter. It was manufactured by Kuat Systems Engineering, the same company that brought us the V-Wing. Brand new, the Delta-7 cost 180,000 credits, but it also had a high maneuverability variant, which cost 210,000 credits, and a high-speed variant, which cost 385,000 credits. To put that in perspective, the high-speed variant Delta-7 cost more than 6 TIE fighters. At 8 meters or about 26 feet long, it was the third of a length of a Y-Wing bomber. At 3.92 meters or about 13 feet wide, it had a more narrow profile than even the TIE fighter, and was about as wide as 4 Jawas. But what was really impressive was just how thin this starfighter was. At 1.44 meters or just under 5 feet, when being attacked head-on, the enemy would have the very difficult task of trying to hit a starfighter which only took up the size of half a Wookiee. Combine that with the relatively fast speed of 1,260 kilometers per hour, or about 782 miles per hour, that is slightly faster than a TIE fighter, but still about 400 miles per hour slower than an F-18. It didn't have a hyperdrive, but it could take advantage of hyperspace docking rings. Now, many believe that the Delta-7 is based on an Old Republic ship called an Uruk-class starfighter, which was also used by Jedi Knights for reconnaissance missions. But much like the lightsaber, the peaceful Jedi were able to fight when necessary, and this recon vessel was also equipped with 2 twin-barrel laser cannons. Most are red and white to identify them as being privileged to diplomatic immunity, the same color scheme for Republic cruisers. An interesting problem with this ultra-sleek design is that there wasn't room for a full-size astromech socket. Therefore, the Delta-7 could not take advantage of the astromech droid navigator like an X-Wing could, but instead the astromech was only a smaller version, which was mostly just the head part. Later in the Clone Wars, however, Kuat figured out a way to expand certain parts and fit a full-size astromech. Now, the Delta-7 began field testing in 27 BBY, 5 years before the start of the Clone Wars, and the Delta-7 was available around the time of the Battle of Naboo. Later, they also introduced the Delta-12 Sky Sprite, which was tested by Obi Wan Kenobi. When the Delta-7 was being used by the Jedi Knights, Sassy Tin decided he could increase the badass rating of this ship, and he slapped 4 quad-pulse laser cannons on it. He was also able to work in a low-performance hyperdrive, and although it wasn't the fastest, he also found a solution for that, and swapped out the normal seat for a much more comfortable meditation chair. Jedi Master Adi Gallia also tested Delta-7s and used them on a mission to the Carthax system. Here she learned how to get the most out of the ship by allowing the Force to guide her actions while piloting it. And of course, Obi Wan fought off and was able to hide from Jango Fett and his Delta-7, but he also ran into Fett shortly before this meeting on a mission to stop a criminal ring on Albacus. Last but not least is Anakin's heavily customized Delta-7, the Azor Angel. He added extra large turbine engines, a hyperdrive, and a paint job that was a callback to his pod racer. Throughout the Clone Wars, Kuat made room for a full-size astromech and eventually moved towards the Eta II Actis class interceptor. Some Jedi, like Plo Koon, kept using the Delta-7, however, and this of course would also be his grave on the planet Canon Moidia. At the end of the Clone Wars, Kuat sold the entire line of Delta ships to Sinar Fleet Systems, the same company that made the TIE fighter. Well, that's it for the Delta-7 Aethersprite class Light Interceptor. But you definitely want to hear these cool facts and behind the scenes stuff. If you look really closely at the Cosplay displays, Obi Wan Starfighter and Plo Koon's aren't displaying Arubish, the writing system for the language called Basic, which was most used throughout the galaxy, but instead the writing is what's called Star Wars 76 script. This is a nod to the original writing seen in the 1976 version of Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope. Ever since it appeared in Episode 2, the Delta-7 has been in a ton of different video games, and what's interesting is that the original name for this fighter was going to be the Stormtrooper fighter, though this idea was dropped once they wanted to have the Republic use clone troopers. Well, that's it for the Delta-7. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that like button, and be sure to leave a comment down below if I missed any cool facts, or if you have a suggestion for future videos. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at MetaNerdsLore, so you can see us build Star Wars props and cosplays, along with some other cool Star Wars stuff. If you want to help support this channel, check out the description below for our Amazon store and our Patreon. And be sure to subscribe, because we're making videos like this every single day. But more important than all that, remember, if you're gonna buy a Delta-7, be sure to have Stacey Tin look at it, and the Force will be with you, always.